Hey there, I'm Michael Dickey, business coach for service-based, purpose-driven entrepreneurs with ADHD and owner of Flow State Executive Coaching. Welcome to part 2 of the Flow State Super System tutorial. In part 1, we set up your Gmail account to start to take control of your inbox by turning it into a to-do list. In doing so, we organized your emails into 4 different categories. 1, action items. Those are emails that you need to follow up on and take action in some way. 2, awaiting reply. Emails that you sent that you are now waiting on the recipient to do something so you can complete the task. 3, read through later. Emails that you want to have on hand because it's useful information you want to access again and again. And then 4, all other emails that can be archived or deleted because they are junk or spam, or snoozed because they actually are an action item, but they're due more than a week away. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, find the link in the description below. Today we're going to cover an ADHD-centered approach to to-do lists. For many of us with ADHD, remembering to do things that come into our mind or things that we are delegated can be an issue to say the least. Our ADHD executive dysfunction interferes with memory, planning, organizing, prioritizing, and following through to closure. You need all of those things functioning to be effective at getting things done. If you don't, you'll find yourself continually dropping the ball, abandoning projects, saying, "I'll get to that later," and losing opportunities that would otherwise allow you to grow personally and professionally. I know that all of you out there have tried different systems and have been really motivated to find something that works, but a lot of systems that are out there are made by neurotypical people who naturally plan and organize better than we do. They make their systems more complex than what our ADHD brains can handle, and when the initial excitement and motivation wanes, the system ends up being unsustainable. So give yourself permission to not feel guilt or shame if you repeatedly drop the ball on tasks and responsibilities, or have tried systems and haven't been successful because they actually were unsustainable. It's the system's fault, not yours. At the same time, we should not be using our ADHD as an excuse or act like we are victims. ADHD is an explanation for our behaviors, not a way to dismiss accountability for our actions. When we are trying to change behaviors, we should first start off by asking ourselves why we want to change these behaviors. What is your motivation? What will making a long-lasting change in our behavior by creating and maintaining habits do for you personally and professionally? If you can start with the why, you can increase personal accountability and motivation. Personally, for me, a lot of the reasons and my why was to take pressure off of my wife, to stop disappointing her, and to make sure that even though I say I'm going to do something, it eventually doesn't just end up on my wife's plate because I dropped the ball. That was my motivation, and that's always been my why. The second thing to consider when changing your behavior is that building habits is paramount to your success. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, says that it takes at least 66 days for a habit to become automatic. And as a side note, if you have not yet read Atomic Habits, I highly recommend that you do to get some really great tips and strategies on how to make habits effective and sustainable. When it comes to tasks, the first thing that we need to do is give ourselves permission to not just remember to do things. Even a few years ago, if my wife would ask me to do something, I'd always say, "Sure, I'll totally remember to do that." And did I? Nope. It was so frustrating for me and for her. David Allen, the author of Getting Things Done, says your brain is for having ideas, not holding them. What we need to do is get those tasks out of our heads with all the other 3,000 thoughts flying around in there and into a second brain. In the past, this could be as simple as your planner or a Post-it note or a notepad. But a better option would be an electronic second brain. And one of the reasons is that you don't always have Post-it notes or your notebook with you. But I'm sure 99% of the time you always have your phone on you or are in front of a computer. And this second brain system should have as little friction around it as possible, meaning that you shouldn't have to go through 15 steps or even 15 button pushes on your phone just to write something down to lock it into your second brain. My favorite task manager that can be used as a second brain is an app called TickTick. First of all, they don't pay me. I'm not an affiliate or anything for them. I'm just a user. But it really works great for having cross-platform accessibility. And also there's zero friction and you can do so much with it. And we're going to show you that today and how to set that up. But it does have an Android and iOS apps and widgets that you can add onto your home screen on your phones or your iPads or your tablets. It has a desktop app and browser-based access. So no matter where you are or what you are using, you can add things to your list, to your second brain. Now, when it comes to the actual workflow to use to organize your to-do list, I like a really simplified version of David Allen's Getting Things Done. In this process, you capture, organize, and do. 3 steps. Couldn't be simpler. In step 1, capture, that means that the second you have an idea or a task or a thought that, oh, I got to do that, you immediately capture into your TickTick inbox. Just get it out of your head, put it in TickTick, and you're done for now. In step 2, organize, you spend a few minutes organizing, categorizing, and prioritizing your TickTick inbox multiple times throughout the day. Usually 2 to 3 is the minimum, but other times, once you get into it, and actually this is kind of weird that I am doing this, but I check it quite frequently, maybe too much, but to go in to make sure that that inbox is down to nothing. Everything is categorized. And the same thing with my Gmail inbox from part 1. But minimum 2 or 3 times a day, you're going into your Gmail and your TickTick inbox to organize them so that you have a completely clear inbox. Step 3, you do those tasks based on due date and priority. You check them off your list. Simple, right? Once you build this simple 3-step habit, and remember, at least 66 days of doing this, you'll stay productive, get things done, and significantly reduce the number of times you drop the ball. Now, I've created or adapted this system from other systems. I've condensed it down to the simplest steps as possible. Does that mean that I am perfect in everything that I'm doing, that I never drop the ball? And the answer is no. But we're looking for progress, not perfection. If you are even 80% and you used to be 20% about dropping the ball, and that's pretty extreme, but even if it's slight improvement, the amount of exponential improvement that actually is of getting stuff done for you, for your productivity, for the opportunities that you keep and grow, but also for relationships with other people, especially your significant others. That progress is really what we're looking for, and it's never going to be perfect. But progress is great, right? 80% is awesome when it used to be 20%. Now let's dive into setting up TickTick. And one thing I want you to remember is that this is a framework, not a system. The system is using TickTick to help you capture, organize, and do. TickTick is the tool that will help you do that most effectively and efficiently. Okay, so let's get TickTick started for you here. Go to TickTick.com and create a free account and sync it with your Google account. And you'll see that there is an option for a premium account, which is around $36 annually, and honestly, I think that it's worth it. On the free version, you only get 9 lists, and you'll see what that means in a couple minutes here. But with the paid version, you get 299, which is a little bit like overkill, but some people might need them. You're able to track progress on projects. You can do Gantt charts with the paid premium service. You can do a calendar view, so you can time block tasks around your personal calendars. You can customize settings for an Eisenhower matrix, and then each task and subtask can have a due date, and there's lots of other features. So I would recommend that if you do have $36 for a year, that you do upgrade, because it's only adding features that you probably will use. They're not necessary, but if you're having more than 9 lists, then you probably want to get the premium version. So once you decide on free or premium, make sure that you download the desktop app for your computer from your app store, and then download the mobile app from your app store for your phone. And then wherever you are, whether you're going to use your desktop or the browser-based, and I have the browser-based open right here because this is just my dummy account. So I would recommend doing this in the desktop app because that would always just be open and waiting for you rather than the browser-based application, which I have here. So, but you're going to do this in your desktop app. You're going to go up to your little avatar right here, and then you're going to go to settings, and then you're going to find where it talks about shortcuts. On the desktop version, it looks a little bit different than this. On the top, it would actually say hotkeys. So go to shortcuts or hotkeys, and then the only thing that I want you to do is go down to add task. And this is, again, for the desktop version, not the browser-based. I prefer Command Up for my Mac. I feel like it's the easiest position for my hands where I don't have to move a lot. But you want to make it so it's something that you're going to remember that's also not specifically used by your computer for another shortcut or hotkey. So I like Command Up. It could also be Control Up for your Windows PC. And that is going to allow us to do a quick add. So when if you have that idea, oh, I have to do this, all you have to do is something like this, Command Up. That little box opens up, test. I added it right to my inbox. I captured it. Now later I can come back and organize. So now a couple other things that you can do to add some more features is go back up to your avatar, go to settings, and then go to features and make sure that Eisenhower matrix is toggled on and Pomodoro is toggled on. Those are great resources for when you're in focus mode and for prioritizing when it comes to Eisenhower. And then they do have a habit tracker. If you do want to start tracking some kind of habits, especially using this, you can throw that in there. I'm not using that currently for myself, but it's an option and it comes free. But then there's more features when you do the paid version for the $36 for the year. Okay, so initial setup is there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is start to create some lists. And lists are where you're going to basically compartmentalize and store different tasks for different parts of your life. And right now, I think there are really kind of 5 minimum that you need to have. So that's great for if you are only using the free version. If you want more than 9, then you want to go with the paid version. So all you have to do is go to the little plus sign by the list. And the first one that I would recommend that you do is like work, or something that is business based, that is all for the tasks that are work related. And then you'll see here that this is like a checklist view. I prefer the Kanban view, which is right here. And you can choose a color, and colors are helpful because it helps kind of visualize them on the side bar here. But also, if you do use the paid version and sync your calendar, it will have a work task on your calendar that is time blocked, will have its own color. So I'm just going to pick this kind of purpley color here. So I'm going to add that. And that's done. And you'll see I have work right there. Okay. The second one that I think is a necessity is something regarding either home or personal. So home stuff for me is fine. I still like to do the Kanban, and I'll make that one red, and then I'm going to add that. Another one that is really helpful is just email. And this is a way that we can sync part 1, which is the Gmail Inbox Zero tutorial, with our TickTick, which is kind of the end goal that we'll get in part 3. So I don't think that this needs a Kanban view. You can definitely just have it as a list view and just pick a different color and add. So when you're going into this system, we're just kind of building this out right now. A pro of having an email list is that it keeps all of your action items, personal, work, everything in TickTick, but also email, which becomes an action item as we created in the first video. It gets added into TickTick where you're keeping track of all of your tasks. So the con is that it's just an additional step. So it might work for you, it might not, and that's okay. Remember, this is the framework, not the system for you. Now, the next one, which I think is actually a huge game changer and a definite necessity, is we can have lists for goals. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lists going right now. And I like to have 4 quarterly goals that are in alignment with my 3 big annual goals. That way, every quarter I'm doing a sprint to get of 4 goals to get me closer to reaching my annual goal. So I've already kind of created a couple dummy ones, and whatever your quarterly goal is, it's a revenue-based goal of some kind. What you can do is do the same thing, but create a goal and have it be a Kanban, and you rename the first column to do, the second one in progress, and the third one done. And then you just start building out and listing out all of the steps that it would take to be successful in your quarterly goal in each one. So let me walk you through this and how to do, and I have one more to go. So this will be Q2 goal 4, and I will say this is going to be, right off the top of my head, is going to be referral partners. I'm going to make it orange, I'm going to make it a Kanban, and I'm going to add. And there it is. So now I can use this and add it down here and then move it slightly to the right. So now it's under my goals, and I can eliminate that and open that up if I want to. Now what I didn't do was add a cool little emoji. So what you can do is right click on that goal, hit edit, and then right over here you can choose an emoji for whatever you want, save. Okay, and there you go. It's got a nice little emoji for you. So again, we're going to rename this first section to do. The second section is going to be in progress, and the third section is going to be done. Awesome. And then you can just start adding, hey, step 1, step 2, and so on, and you're organizing them when you add this, and I'll go into this in just a couple seconds, but there's a lot of features within this that helps really make it easy to stay organized, set priority, put due dates, make checklists, all within each different separate task. The last list that I think is a necessity I call weekly objectives. And we're going to make that green. We're going to make that a Kanban, and we can, what if we do, can we do a week? Nope, how about calendar? Cool. We'll do that guy right there and add. Now, what I like to do and have my clients do is we're starting with, when we're goal setting for a year, we start with a 3-year vision. What do we want our lives and our business to look like in 3 years? Then we set 3 annual goals that are going to move us closer to achieving that vision. Then we're going to set 4 quarterly goals that will move us closer and closer and closer as the year goes on to reaching our annual goals. And then every week on Monday morning, I start to create a list of the 4 objectives that are the most important things that I need to do that are in alignment with my quarterly goals. And then during the week, you say, what are the things that I need to do on this week to achieve my revenue goal or a new client goal or a free time goal or a referral partner goal? And I would go back and look at each of these goals and look at the steps and look at the deadlines that I have, and using that, reverse engineer the top 4 most important things for me to do this week. And so just for an example, it could be for my new client goal, the step is create lead magnet for this week. Okay, and that's it. So there's your weekly objectives. Once I start that, I can just slide it on over to in progress. And when you're done, you can move it over to done, and you can also check it, and you can hide your completed right there if you want to. Okay, so we have some different lists created. Other lists that might be important for you or helpful are if you have a specific project, especially one where you're working with other people. You can actually sync your projects and your lists with other people. If you are working with someone or you have a VA, you can use this as a project management software, which is pretty cool. So the next step for you is to go onto your phone and download the TickTick app if you haven't done that yet, but use and create a widget on your home screen of your phone. Let's start to capture. We have a good framework set up. Let's start to capture some things. And you see that I have some very random things in my inbox already, but what if I have an idea that comes up? When my desktop version is open but even minimized, all you have to do is use that hotkey that you set up, Command up, and then I'm going to add that task in. And that task will be pick up kids 10 minutes early today. And you'll see that it does have native abilities for text recognition. So you can put today, and it'll put the due date as today. You can add in exclamation point, and that is the setting the priority. And you can do that right here if you already know. You don't have to do that though. That's the great thing, is that just get that in the inbox, hit enter, and it's in there, and then you can go back in later and organize and categorize and prioritize a little bit more effectively. But just give yourself permission to get that out of your head into your second brain. Okay. You can also do it natively in each list. So if I want to go into my home and add a task, I can just go right here, and this is by Drano. Okay, and then I can move that to in progress, etc. You can add it directly into the list that you know it needs to go. Secondly, you can add it from the widget on your phone. Okay, so now let's do a quick tutorial of the widget that goes along with my Android phone, and it should look the same or very similar if you're using Apple. But right on my main screen, I have this widget, and this is where I capture things easily when I'm out and about. And all you have to do really is just hit this plus. It opens this, and then you can start to type in whatever you need to capture. So call to make vet appointment. Okay, and then all I need to do is hit the send, and it goes right in. I don't have to worry about setting the due dates or the list or anything right now or priority unless I know exactly when I want to do that, but don't worry about doing that quite yet. Now, the other really cool feature is that the voice to text is actually quite good. So the same kind of a thing, but then you just hit this little microphone right here. Make appointment for dog. There you go. So all I did was hold down on that record button. It listened. I released when I was done. It analyzed and gave me the text, and it asked me if it was okay, and I added it in. And you'll see that if I go into my inbox here, both of those appointments are in my inbox. One that I made with typing and one that I made with voice to text. Whether you're doing on your desktop, so simple way to capture or in the browser, right from your phone. To be a simple information dump. The one key is that you always want to start with a verb or an action word. You don't want to just put in there Drano. You want to put in there something more specific and start with a verb or an action word, and is go to Lowe's and buy Drano or something like that. Organize TickTick inbox, not just inbox. So just make sure that you're using an action word so it's easier to remember exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So that's capture. So now, a couple hours in the day, I'm going to go in, I have a break, and I'm going to organize my inbox. And I'm not going to do all these just for demonstration purposes, but I'm going to click on this one. It opens up on the side here. I have the due date already. That is for today. I can set the priority. This is definitely high priority because I got to pick my kids up. Down here at the bottom, you can move it to home, and then the list right down here, and then what section you want it to go into in the Kanban, to do, in progress, or done. So I'm going to put this into do, and it's already in there. Okay, that was a good one. Schedule oil change in SUV. So I'm going to do that for Thursday. Okay, and the last thing that you want to do is move it, because if you once you hit move and put it in the list, it's out of your inbox. So you want to do that last. So priority is medium, and I'm going to add that into home to do. Write copy for referral partner email nurture sequence. That's going to be on Friday. That is a high priority, and that's going to go into work. That's all you're doing. Okay, some other features that you can do is that if I do write blog post about Gmail inbox super system. So up here you can turn it into a checklist. Okay, so this is where the first thing you want to do is research blah blah blah. Write first draft. Edit. SEO optimize. Publish. Okay. Now, you'll see with the free version, this is really great, and this is worth $36 a year in my opinion. But with the paid version, you can actually set due dates for each of these sub-tasks. You can't with the free version. So that can be very, very helpful to just be able to put due dates so you know, and then again, it helps with weekly objectives in your task list over there as well. Okay, so I'm going to set that. Actually, that's going to be next Monday, and that's going to be into work. Boom. Okay. Now, the last thing I'll show you is I like to have a morning routine, and this is a way that I'm going to show you how to set up repeating tasks and events. And we're going to make this a checklist. And the thing that you want to do is, what are the things every morning in the first 30 minutes of your day, even before you even start your actual work day, maybe you're getting around having coffee in the morning or something, and you want to have a checklist every morning of the things that are the most important things for you to do. So it would be something like check email, check Slack. If you're working with a team, you might want to check your Slack messages. If not, don't check Slack. Organize inbox. Prioritize daily tasks, etc. So what are the things every morning that are going to set you up for success every single time? You could also do meditate. What are the things every morning? And then when you go up to due date, you're going to repeat daily, and then you can set the time, and it can be, what time do you want to do it? 5:30 in the morning is usually when I do mine, maybe 6 o'clock, something like that. Okay. And then that opens up, and you can go through and check individual inboxes, and at the top you also see that there's a progress meter here going on. Every click, I'm 3/4 of the way, now I'm done. Now the other way you can do it is just click here and do the whole list at the same time. Okay, and then this is my morning routine for tomorrow. But now I can go into, what do I have on my task list for today? What's going on for the next 7 days, etc. And I do want to quickly talk about the prioritization. And so I like to think of as the red is urgent and important. That needs to get done ASAP, okay? The medium yellow is not urgent, but it's important, okay? It needs to get done. It's something that I want to schedule to get on my plate to make sure that I just don't kind of forget about it. And then low means that it's not important or urgent. It might just be something that eventually I want to get done. But this is when you probably want to have a due date in place, because if it's not urgent or important, why are we doing it? So something to consider on that. And then with no priority, those are things that are for ideas or thoughts or notes. And another cool thing that you can do is I didn't talk about this, but you can create a list that is a note list. And this could be blog post ideas. And then so every time that I have a blog post idea of some kind, blah, 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 I put that in my inbox and actually went in the blog post ideas. But you'll see that right down here, I can start to write ideas and take notes, post URLs, etc. okay? And you can just use that as a brain dump for different ideas, and that's a note list, not a task list. So really quickly, I'll show you the Eisenhower matrix here, and that is really just based on the priority that you set and also the due date. So really, it's just that when you're in the free version, it's really just based on urgency, and you can see that it's red, yellow, urgent, important. I'm sorry, urgent and unimportant is blue, and then not urgent and not important is green. When you do the paid version, it does change it so that you can customize where tasks automatically go, specifically by priority and due date. So that is a nice feature when you can kind of visualize that, okay, these things are urgent and important, I need to get those done. This one, I put that it's not urgent, but it is important. That means I definitely have to time block that and get it on my calendar. This one's not urgent and it's unimportant, so why am I doing it? And this one is urgent, but it's not important, and that usually means something that I need to delegate to someone else. Because it's not important that I do it, but it's urgent that it gets done. So that's the Eisenhower matrix. And the last thing, which you can get to from a couple different ways, but you can do a Pomodoro timer built in right here. So you can just start one, which is pretty cool. You can also go to a task and say, I want to work on this task right here. I can go down, click the three dots, the ellipsis. I'm going to start focus and start Pomo. And it's going to automatically switch. So the Pomodoro is specifically for writing my blog post about Gmail Inbox Super System, that task that I just selected this for. Okay, there you go. You have set up the framework for TickTick and using that within the flow state super system. So now what can you do before you move on to part 3? So the first thing that you can do is continue to use the Gmail Inbox Zero system from part 1. And if you have not yet seen that, be sure to check the link in the description below. And use that to continually keep your inbox organized by action items so it becomes a to-do list. Second is start to use TickTick for any tasks that you might have. So remember that the workflow is capture. So anytime you have a new task, thought, idea, immediately add it to your TickTick inbox. You don't have to do anything except for add it. And second part to that is remember to start the writing the description of that task with a verb or an action word. So you remember specifically what you're going to be doing with that task. Second step in the workflow is organize. And that means that multiple times throughout the day, you're going to go into your Gmail inbox, but also your TickTick inbox and organize each task into lists that are basically categorize them. Remember, we made work, we made home, we made goals, all of those different lists that we created. Set due dates and prioritize them. Remember, there's high, medium, low, and not categorized at all. Then, once you categorize that, you do. If you have set appropriate due dates and prioritize them appropriately, you can look at your list for the day and the next 7 days to see what is next up for you to do. I would start every day by taking 5 minutes at least to look at your daily tasks, the daily tasks due in the next 7 days, and quickly looking through each list just to make sure you aren't missing anything. Remember that when we set up the Kanban style, that you can definitely see what is still needs to be done, what I'm working on in progress, and what is done. So just taking a quick glance at that, you can see, oh yeah, I do have that, and I should start that when it's in the to-do, and I need to move it to in progress. So in the next video, we're going to be looking at incorporating everything, what it actually looks like, taking you through the exact process and the workflow and the system that I like to use, and that way you can use it however you like. So start working, start getting organized, keep it simple, don't make it too difficult or too many steps. You don't want any friction or tension in doing what you're doing, and keep it easy, right? That's what we want to do. We want a system that works for our ADHD brain. It's got to be simple, not too simple, but also not too complicated. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.